Hi, I'm Anna. In this video today, I share with you my birth story of this little guy here. He's my second child, and my partner Rory joins me and we talk you through our experience of the pregnancy and the birth. So I hope you enjoy. If you're new to my channel, normally I share classes on here of movement practice, yoga, strength, that style of thing for pregnancy and postpartum. If you're interested in that, I also have an online membership with more of my content that you can sign up to. It's only $30 a month and you get access to a huge video library of classes there. So check out the link below to that membership if you're interested on my website, and enjoy the birth story. So I'm Anna, this is Rory, and this is our little boy Ellis, who was born 5 weeks ago, pretty much exactly. So yeah, we also have a 12-year-old daughter, and I'll share that birth story another time. But yeah, today we'll talk about Ellis's birth and let you know about that.
Where do you want to start?
So it might be good to start just with, like, I guess, the preparation that we did even just before the pregnancy, just deciding if we wanted to have a baby or not. That was sort of a big part of this whole process for us. And then after having decided that and starting to try, then we actually had a miscarriage, which I share about in a different video. You can watch that as well. So that was, like, I guess no one expects that to happen, but it was quite a difficult part of the process for me especially. And a few months after that miscarriage, then we did fall pregnant with this little guy. And yeah, so that's probably just like a bit of background on that. And then yeah, this pregnancy was pretty cruisy actually, really. It went really well and I felt pretty good throughout the pregnancy. It definitely took me a while to feel connected with this baby because of losing the last baby. I just had a lot of fear around that happening again. So I felt like a while till I could get excited about it. Yeah.
You were sort of didn't want to, but you were as well. You can't help it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I think at a certain point we felt safe in the pregnancy.
Yeah, definitely.
But at least for the first, like, even up to 20 weeks, 12 weeks or something. Yeah, you were a bit nervous. So was I, a little bit.
Yeah, and around 9 weeks, I think it was, I actually did have like a heavy bleed. So that was quite scary. I just thought I was miscarrying again, and we went in for a scan to check, but I'd decided it was like happening again. So then they said there was a heartbeat and we were like quite surprised by that. So that happened. And yeah, so then I guess we can jump to the birth. He was overdue by nearly 2 weeks, so 12 days over the due date. And it's funny, I don't really believe in due dates. They're sort of so inaccurate, but I still got caught up in that, in having my head around that particular date. And so that was really challenging going over. What was that like for you, dealing with me?
Yeah, every day for you felt like a long day. Like, I think a little bit over the due date didn't seem to bother you very much.
No.
Like, yeah, 5 days or something, but then it started to bother you. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It just felt like limbo, like you're just waiting for the birth to happen and you can't really plan anything or go away or do anything. So it just seemed to drag every single day for me. And I think by that time in pregnancy as well, you're just over it. Your body's heavy and you're tired and you can't get comfortable, and it's just, you're done.
It's hard to know if it's the due date that was like making those days difficult for you, or if that's just what the end of pregnancy is like.
Yeah, that's true.
In general.
Yeah. But then, yeah, also we had planned to have a home birth with a private midwife, and I think I had some fear around going too far over and, you know, there being a complication and then that wouldn't be able to happen. So there was also some anxiety around that for me as well. But yeah, we did go into labour eventually, even though I believed I'd be pregnant forever.
It was like 10 p.m., right?
Yeah.
And we were, we were in bed literally talking about
the birth or
the birth. Like
some
it was
plans around it.
yeah,
and
this
things like that.
happens and this and that, and then we'll do this, and
Yeah.
if it's over by this, and then you're like, I think my waters might have just
Yeah, I
broken.
just felt this like bit of a gush, and I was like, oh. And then, like sort of happened pretty quickly from there.
Mm-hmm.
We actually did manage to go back to sleep because I was like, well, it could be a while from this point. So we sent a text message to our midwife, and she was like, yep, just let me know. And we went to bed for like a couple of hours till around midnight. And the contractions kind of got a bit strong then, and I was like, yep, let's get up. Couldn't really sleep anymore. And then we just kind of got ready, didn't we? We set up the space, this exact space right here that we're in.
Yeah, there's a birthing pool where this couch is,
Yeah.
and I guess we prepared mostly based on information and techniques from a number of places, but that birthing skills book.
Yeah, that really well-known birth skills book by Juju Sandini. That was I loved that book.
That was good. So we had like a yoga mat, then like a variety of props as well for you to use, and
TENS machine.
yeah, we had it all.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if we used a bit of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's good to just feel prepared in that way, just have options.
it did, yeah.
Because obviously we're at home, so there were no pain relief options, like, medical stuff. So we just sort of had to have all the other things.
So we were like in front of the fire. You were on your knees, and you're like rocking back and forth with the TENS machine on.
Yeah, the TENS was really good for that first part of labour. I think a big part of that was just having something to concentrate on during the contractions as well. But definitely was helpful.
And I was squeezing your hips and like rocking with you as well during the contractions. And your contractions were really frequent and short, right? So
They were. There was not much gap between them, which I wasn't expecting. I think even with my first labour, that even though I was induced, that was not the case. So I was expecting there to be at least a bit of a break between contractions, and there just wasn't really. It just escalated pretty quick. So there wasn't a lot of rest in between, but we still managed really well in that early part, just with breathing and with the TENS machine and with pacing, stomping around, just a lot of movement.
You would use a space,
yeah,
until you would get exhausted of that space. You'd be like, I need to change of scenery.
Yeah.
And
that was a big part of why I wanted to have a home birth as well, was just freedom of movement and using the space, and also the ability to create such a safe, familiar environment, with the fire going and the lights low and all that kind of thing that promotes, oxytocin release. And so it was really beautiful in here.
It was beautiful in here,
Really nice lighting and everything.
We had the place pretty clean and tidy.
Yeah, definitely.
On those days leading up.
Yeah, gotten that nesting vibe. Nesting bug.
And we, so that, you were by the fire, in front of the fire for a while, right? A couple of hours or something?
Yeah, a few hours, I think. Yeah.
And I was sort of relying on the contractions, being able to measure them to know when to call the midwife.
Yeah.
But that was out the window from the beginning. And she had just said, you'll know. You'll know when to call me. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? But she did say, you won't be able to talk on the phone comfortably during, contractions. Mm-hmm. So we just sort of felt when it was the right time to call her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were hit with a fire. and you're pacing up and down the corridor for a while.
Yeah.
Stomping. And then you ended up in the kitchen.
Yeah, so I was
somehow.
on the kitchen floor.
That wasn't...
In the plan.
Wasn't part of the plan. Yeah. You were like leaning on the kitchen counter, and that was nice. Like you were like standing and stomping.
Yeah.
And somehow
found
you
that
did end up on the
useful.
floor on the kitchen,
Yep.
and you had 2 lacrosse balls,
Yeah.
and you were supposed to like bang them together. That lasted 30 seconds, and then you were just banging them on the ground.
Yeah.
Your knees going.
It was too complex to like bash them together. I couldn't hit them hard enough, so smash them on the floor. That ended up being like my main strategy, I think, throughout the rest of the labour, or a lot of it was just using those balls, and because I felt I could just like use a lot of force, which for me was really helpful. And that was a big message in that book too, like just matching the pain of the contractions.
Yeah. What is the quote in there? It's like, yeah, you got to like elevate yourself to match the pain or something.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. And for me that was very effective, like being quite active. Then around 2 a.m. Our daughter came in from her room, and that was really cool.
Yeah,
she was here for it.
Yeah, so her bedroom is like a little bit separate from the house, like a little studio. And she woke up, all the lights were on, and she was all pissed off. Thought the lights had been left on.
And they were shining in her room, waking
So
her
she
up.
came in to turn them all off, and then she was shocked that you were in labour.
Yeah. So the plan was for her to be here because she wanted to be here, but we did have my dad's wife come over to like support her, and that was a really good decision actually in the end, because then neither of us needed to be focused on her needs. We could just focus on, well, obviously I wasn't going to be in a position to do that, but you
focus on
also also then you didn't need to.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. So yeah, like contractions just intensified, and you were managing them quite well.
Yes, yeah.
And then it got to the point where it just felt like
Should
it
call
was
a
pretty
midwife.
intense. Yeah, so called midwife, and she was like close by at the hospital.
At another birth, actually, but she was able to come to us.
Yeah, so she was like, leave me on speaker.
Yeah.
Leave me on speaker while she drives over, and she could obviously tell where we were at, and she was like, let me know if there's any pushing sensations.
Yeah.
You had, like you said, the sun.
I felt a lot of pressure
Pressure.
in my pelvis at that point, but it wasn't like a strong urge to push, but there was definitely like, I could feel that pressure down.
So, she advised us to get you in the bath.
Yeah.
She said, like, get you in the bath. That should, like, calm you down. And it did initially, like, when you got in there,
Yeah.
it was really good. It was nice. And we have, like, a silk swing, like, hanging from the ceiling just there. And you were, like, holding onto that in the bath. But things are ramping up, and you were getting really stressed. Like,
I was
starting to feel
going
like
through transition at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was definitely got to the point then of, I can't do it. Like, it's too hard. The contractions were so strong and so close together by then. And in my head I thought, I think this is transition, but I didn't want to think that in case it wasn't, in case I had like way further to go to that point. So I was sort of like, I think it is, but it's probably not.
I had no idea. That didn't even like come into mind for me. I did feel a bit concerned at that point, because you were literally saying like, you're like, fuck, and you're like, I can't. You couldn't really speak properly, but you were saying like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You're in a lot of pain, and it was like pain, but it was also like frantic energy. Yeah. And so that I was just sitting on the outside of the bath, leaning in, and it was just like touching you occasionally, not really saying much. But then in between contractions, just reminding you that we just need to get through the next contraction.
Yeah.
And next one. And
that was good because, I started to just get it in my head about like how much longer I had and how I couldn't cope with this. So I just had to come back to, just this moment, like just this next contraction, just this next one.
that was intense.
Our midwife turned up at that point.
Yeah, she did.
That was about 4:30 in the morning.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
She's like a short little lady, and she came in, and she's all just casual. She comes in with a torch, and she's like, "Oh, how's everyone going? Are we having a baby in here?" And she's like got a smile on her face, and it's like pretty tense in here. And then she put her stuff down, and she came over to you, and she's like, how you going? And you're like, "Mari, I can't take this anymore." And she just goes, "Well, like, bad luck or something." She's like, "Well, you're going to have to. We're having a baby now. Like, you're having a baby, so you're going to have to get through it." Like, very real. It was good.
Yeah, it was good.
She gave you good advice. She just said, "You got this. Let your body take care of this. You're along for the ride."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Just go internal. Like, you got this. Your body will take care of it."
That was useful advice.
It sort of did.
Yeah.
You did do that.
Yeah, then I sort of moved into the pushing phase and actually felt a lot of relief because the contractions like spaced out a lot. And I just went into my head and just leant on the side of the bath and just breathed and just tried to really focus on the like pushing sensation as well. And in my head, I also wondered like if things were stopping, like if things were like slowing down.
It did become very peaceful.
Yeah.
Like you quiet. You were like just processing all the intensity and pain.
Yeah.
Internally, like you had your head down, just over the water, with your arms holding on the silk swing, and you would just be in the pain, breathing through it. But it was intense.
Yeah.
But it was like all you, and then it was just quiet. No one was saying anything, and then in between your contractions, you would sort of just lean against the bath, and Mari, she did say like relax, like fully relax between, like recover. And you did start doing that. Like you were just completely relaxed. Your body was just out. Like it was like you were asleep.
Yeah.
And then this moan would like come out of this complete silence. And like, oh, and then
as it would start to come up.
And then you're like, fuck, here we go again. Yeah.
Vocalizing was really useful for me as well throughout, but I just had to remind myself to like keep the sound low. Because obviously, with that intensity, it's easy to start like ramping up and breathing shallow and like the pitch of the vocalization goes up. But just from everything I'd learned, I remembered like keep it low and deep. So I just kept coming back to that like low sort of guttural sounds, which was really helpful. And like with each contraction, I felt like the urge to bear down. But I was also mindful not to like max out on that either. Just try and breathe and like.
Did you feel
scared?
Scared? Did you feel scared through this point, or just in it?
Didn't really feel scared. Like I think I did have some fear around how long there was to go. My mind kept going there because I was just like, I don't know how long I can handle this. And obviously you don't have a choice, you just have to keep handling it. So there was some fear around that, like how much longer is this going to be? And then I actually put my fingers inside myself and felt his head, but it felt really high up still in my pelvis. And I remember just being like, to our midwife, like, his head is so far up. And what did she say?
She said, we got a bit of a journey in front of us.
Yeah, I didn't like hearing that.
Yeah.
But I knew because I was like, his head's pretty far up. But after each contraction, I found it really useful just to check and put my fingers in, and then I could feel him descending like with each contraction, which was
progress.
really motivating for me, just to like keep in a good headspace and
baby
know
down.
that things were happening. Yeah. And so then I was pushing for around 50 minutes or so, and I could feel him coming down, and then I could feel his head like come like onto my perineum, so that was like pretty uncomfortable. Felt that classic like ring of fire sensation. But I wasn't expecting this. He just like, his head sat there for like 3 contractions. I was like, oh my God. Like that's the thing when I started talking to him and being like, come on, baby.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, come on, Bubba. You're like this biggest frown on your face. I know your eyebrows like this, like sad. You're like just pleading with him.
yeah.
It was pretty adorable.
And then, I mean, we didn't know he was a boy. We didn't find that out. And so, I was talking to him, but didn't know it was him. And then, then his head came out, and oh my God, the relief I felt that his head was out. I was like, oh, so good. Like, we're nearly there. And then it took another like 2 or 3 contractions even for his shoulders to be born. And so it was a little while.
Yeah, and the midwife was just observing at that point with a little torch once the head was out.
Yeah.
She was there when it came out, and then she didn't guide you more than you needed.
It was very minimal, very hands off.
Yeah.
She checked his heart rate once with the Doppler, and I didn't have any like vaginal examinations. I didn't want any. Like we had discussed that prior, because for me, I just knew that getting those updates about how dilated I was would really not have been useful for me, because if I wasn't, if I was anything but 10 centimeters, I would have been disappointed to hear. So, it was very hands off. Then at that point, she did look with the torch.
Yeah, and then
that was about it.
And then, like, we sort of knew he was about to come when he came out. I like moved. You had like sat up more. You on your knees.
Yeah.
You like sat up, and you're like crouching, and you had your hands down to grab him.
Yeah.
And then I was over your shoulder. And you had like this big push, and then you brought him up, and it was the water was very dark because we had all these lamps on in here, and I was over your shoulder, and you like brought him out of this like dark water. What do you remember about seeing him?
Yeah, it was amazing, just like pulling his body up, and he had his arms like full outstretched, and he looked so big. Yeah, and I was just so relieved it was done and he was here, and it was amazing just to see him and hold him. And he did cry initially, like, I think.
He did,
away.
yeah. He came up, and it was amazing to see him come out of the water. I couldn't believe how big he was. Like, I mean, I think he was slightly bigger than usual, normal average or something. But
yeah,
I mean, I think I was just more surprised how big a newborn baby was. I don't know. It was just sort of shocked me. I just the sheer size that he was in you. It's unbelievable. Yeah, and I like involuntary was just like, oh my God, like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I mostly felt so incredibly proud of you, because you wanted that home birth experience and to do it the way we did it. Yeah. Like in control, and just, that happened. So we just were unsure about all that. So I just felt so fucking impressed with what you'd like been through, and getting him out. Yeah. It was amazing. It was.
We definitely worked as a team. Obviously, I'm the one going through that, but I felt so supported and like reassured by you and what you were saying, and just the planning that we'd done and how that all sort of came to fruition. Yeah. Yeah,
I wouldn't swap roles, but I enjoyed my role in it.
Yeah, so then we pulled him up. He was crying, but he was like having a bit of difficulty breathing. He had like a lot of mucus like in his sinuses, and he would cry, but he was working quite hard as well.
He could exhale more than he could inhale. Like, right, he was crying out, and then it
Yeah.
was like diaphragm was
Yeah.
sucking hard.
So a midwife wanted us to get out of the bath then. She was like, okay, let's hop out of the bath, and just like stimulated him,
Yeah, rubbing his back.
rubbing him, trying to sort of get him to come up a little bit. And he would, and then he would sort of just like get drowsy again, and he was still working pretty hard with his breathing. So
It was a little scary.
it was a little bit, yeah. I felt pretty okay at that time. I wasn't too concerned about him.
Yeah, I think you and the midwife are the least concerned people.
Yeah.
in the room.
Which kept things pretty calm.
I could tell from you that you weren't too concerned, but I was like, I was really concerned.
Obviously, you don't know like what way it's going to go, because he was struggling a bit, but I just could tell that he wasn't too unwell in that moment. But obviously, I was concerned that he would go downhill, and so the midwife was also. So she gave him some oxygen.
Yep.
But that didn't really help. So she wanted to call an ambulance at that point, which we were in support of.
Yeah.
It was a good call.
It was all pretty relaxed. Like it was called an ambulance, but wasn't like a priority one. Like
No.
they
It was all very relaxed.
Yeah. And by the time the ambulance got here, it was a lot more. He had stabilised a lot,
Yeah.
so we were becoming less and less worried. And
Yeah.
yeah, a midwife had to get the placenta out as well.
Yeah. So we're still able to have like a physiological birth of the placenta, in that like wasn't given Syntocin or anything, but she did have to assist.
Yeah,
so
she
she
move
was
it along.
pulling a little bit on the cord.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously we had wanted to do like sort of optimal cord clamping, but the cord had still stopped pulsating, so I was happy with it to be cut at that point as well. And yeah, so she cut the cord. Or did you cut it?
I cut it, but just because she was like, cut this cord. Like
you were kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like too...
ceremonial.
Yeah. Because I guess we were like, we need to like move things along.
Yeah.
And you could tell she was a little concerned as well at
Yeah.
that point. So yeah, we cut the cord, delivered the placenta, and then we just got a few things organised. Luckily, I had thought to pack a hospital bag just in case, so grabbed that. But it wasn't rushed or like hectic at all. I like walked out to the car with him, and yeah, by the time we were like in the ambulance, it was pretty chill. He was like fully pinked up, and he was breathing fine. He was searching for the breast.
The Ambo like staff were like making jokes, and they weren't in any rush. They were like touching him, going, "Oh, it's so cute."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was all pretty relaxed, but yeah, we went to the hospital, and by the time we got there, the doctors were a bit like, "Oh yeah, what's wrong with this baby? Like, looks pretty good." But it was good that we went just to be sure. And then I did end up having like a postpartum hemorrhage as well. It wasn't like severe, but lost up about 750 to 800 mils. So that was like good that we were at the hospital. But I do wonder like if that would have happened if we were at home and been able to like do everything slower. And
yeah, like the placenta had to come out pretty fast.
yeah, and she had to obviously pull on
And
it and
everything.
things, but we'll never know. And it was fine. I honestly didn't mind at that point to go to the hospital, because we'd had him at home, and that was like the most important thing to me was that we birthed him at home the way that we wanted to.
Yeah, I guess the important thing was you didn't want like unnecessary interventions.
Yeah.
And at this point, there are no interventions that would sort of be problematic to us.
That's
you know?
true,
So
yeah.
it was just about control. And like,
It was. I mean, I actually was at peace, before the labour. If we had to go to the hospital, I was actually felt at peace with that, because to me it was more about, like being informed and having choice around the interventions and all of that. And yeah, I felt that we would have that even at the hospital with our midwife and with what we knew and all of that.
Yeah, then we had a little beautiful baby boy.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
We only stayed in the hospital for a couple of hours, and we were just like in a bit of shell shock, I think, and just pretty tired as well, and very like besotted with our little boy. And yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing.
We came home and our daughter had just chosen his name. We had given her that like responsibility. We thought that would really help with bonding, and it was just felt right to do that. But it wasn't total free reign. She had like 5 boys and 5 girls names-ish that we'd like all shortlisted to choose from. And so we didn't know his name. We spoke to her on the phone, and Rory said to her, let's wait till we see you at home. And so then, my dad and his partner brought her back over, and she told us his name. We were stoked. And it wasn't the name we thought that she would choose, which was interesting, but yeah, it was really nice. And then the fire was on, like our midwife had gotten back here before us, and she lit the fire, and it was so cozy. We got home and we just got in bed, really, didn't we? Yeah. And just reeling from the whole thing, pretty tired as well, but just really like on a high from the experience. Yeah, so that's our story pretty much. Anything else you would want to say about the whole thing?
Don't think so, yeah. It was definitely something to remember, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a pretty incredible experience. Like, it was obviously very intense, as birth is, and I guess for me, I prefer to call it pain. Like, a lot of people prefer to say surges and things, but for me it was pain. But that wasn't a bad thing. Like, it's
not out of control pain.
No, and like for me, in my head, it's like, well, it's a good pain. I know there's no like damage being done to my body, and that was a really useful way of framing it for me as well. So. I hope you enjoyed hearing our experience, and if you'd like to support my channel, please subscribe. It really helps me out. Again, you can check out my online membership with the link below, and also below is a link to my Instagram channel if you're interested in pregnancy and postpartum fitness content. And please comment below if you have any questions about anything that we shared in the story. And thanks again. See you soon. Bye.